All right. You know what time it is. Neil Ratner, Rock Doc here with a story. Last week, multi-instrumentalist and producer Todd Rundgren celebrated his 74th birthday. Todd was one of the first acts to be prominent as both an artist and producer, and is notable for having produced Badfinger's Straight Up, Grand Funk Railroads Were an American Band, the New York Dolls, and Meatloaf's Bat Out of Hell, as well as many other things. So today, I thought I would tell you a few things about Todd Rundgren that you might not know. And as usual, a little background first. All right, so Todd taught himself how to play guitar and piano at a young age. And by the time he was 17, he formed his first band. Now, after graduating from high school in 1966, Rundgren moved to Philadelphia and began his career in a band called Woody's Truck Stop, a blues rock group in the style of the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. Now, Todd stayed with that band for about 8 months, and in the process, they became the most popular band in Philadelphia. But Rundgren left before they released their first album to form the band Nas in 1967. Now, Todd wrote all of Nas's material, and with the second album, he started to produce the band. But by their third album, Todd's musical tastes had changed, and so he left the band in '69. Now, Rundgren was at a crossroads, and despite considering a career as a computer programmer, Todd decided his calling was as a producer. And so he moved to New York City in the summer of '69. That's when I met him, and I'll tell a little story about that later on. Okay. In the meantime, manager Albert Grossman up here, Bearsville, right next to Woodstock, Dylan's manager, the band's manager, was putting together Bearsville Studios. And initially, Todd was offered a job as a staff engineer. Now, Todd, at the beginning, was relegated to various old folk artists that needed an upgrade. People like Ian and Sylvia, James Cotton, and other artists in Albert's stable. Then, accompanied by Robbie Robertson and Lee Von Helm of the band, Todd traveled to Canada to record Jesse Winchester's 1970 self-titled debut album, which led to the band asking Todd to engineer their stage fright sessions. Okay, Todd was off and running. Okay, and I told you at the beginning about lots of his production credits. You know, he ended up with a studio called Utopia, which Albert Grossman built for him, and of course he had the band Utopia, and so then, you know, Todd had a great solo career as well as his production career. Now, in addition to all those things, Rundgren is considered a pioneer in the fields of electronic music, progressive rock, music videos, computer software, and internet music delivery, a real technophile for sure. But above all else, Todd Rundgren's a really good guy. Like I said, I met Todd back in the early 70s, actually. He came to New York in the summer of '69. I met him when I was working with Edgar Winter and Rick Derringer when I was tour manager for Edgar and his band White Trash. Now, I got friendly with Todd and his buddy, fellow musician Moogie Klingman. And one day I'll tell you a very funny story about something that happened with Moogie. But back to Todd. Okay, so when I met him, Todd's girlfriend was the beautiful Playboy playmate and model, Bebe Buell. And we spent many a late night together in the back room of Max's Kansas City, usually at manager Steve Paul's table. He was my boss, with the Derringers, Edgar and Johnny, and whoever else might be in town that night. And Rick and Todd were really good friends. So Todd and Bebe had a turbulent on and off again relationship. And after a short hot and heavy affair with Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, Bebe got pregnant. Now, Todd knew he might not be the father, and even though his romantic relationship had ended with Bebe, he signed the birth certificate when Liv was born in July of '77. And Todd's involvement didn't end there. He acted as a father figure, paid for Liv's education, and Liv often talks fondly about Todd and coming up here to Woodstock in the '80s to visit Todd and the great parties he would have every summer. The good old days, right? Okay, now, I'll end with something Todd said in a recent interview. I'm just a naturally eclectic musician, ironically, because of the Beatles. Once they started going through all those changes and inventing new genres, I came to expect that was what a band did. You shouldn't have any idea what a band was going to do, and that's how I looked at it as a genre-less artist. I think that's what interested people in my music as well, because there's a bit of rock in there, R&B, ballads, and all kinds of experimental stuff. All right. Todd Rundgren, happy belated birthday. Hope you're around for a long time. If you get a chance, go see Todd. Great musician, and I'm sure he puts on a great show. That's my story for today. I'll have more as the days go on. You know where to find me around the internet. And, as I like to tell you, always remember to keep on rocking. All right, bye for now.